For 3 decades, Johnny Carson invited America into his television home each night, and behind that warm smile and Midwestern charm lived television's greatest student of human behavior, a man who could read guests like no one else in the business. Yet even he encountered certain stars who made him sweat, guests who refused to play by the rules, who treated The Tonight Show like their personal playground, and who left producers in panic while Carson scrambled to maintain control of his own program. A former Tonight Show director once revealed that Johnny had a special signal for these guests, discreetly touching his ear while smiling, so the entire control room knew things were about to go off the rails, because some guests deliberately hijacked Carson's carefully structured format, turning interviews into chaotic spectacles that left the host visibly struggling to regain control. From an actress throwing a drink at another guest on live television to a celebrity whose unhinged behavior forced Carson to abandon the interview entirely and cut to commercial, an almost unprecedented move in his disciplined career, all of which demonstrated what happened when celebrities decided that shame was something that happened to other people. Among them was Shelley Winters, a 2-time Academy Award winner whose appearances caused Control to leave the building entirely, as she approached interviews like natural disasters approaching coastlines, with unstoppable force and zero concern for what got damaged along the way, stealing the spotlight and lighting it on fire while ignoring the give and take of the talk show format, as if it were merely a suggestion. Before Winters even reached the set, backstage energy shifted, assistants whispered warnings, makeup artists drew straws, and guests scheduled after her often found their segments shortened or bumped altogether, casualties of what staff called the Winters time vortex, because her stories had stories and her digressions had digressions, leaving Johnny glancing at his watch in horror as minutes vanished. What made Winters particularly challenging was her comfort with discomfort, as she seemed drawn to controversy, dropping political statements, calling out other stars, and sharing intimate details that left Carson searching for safe transitions, deliberately creating awkward silences just to watch him scramble. Her oversized purse became a notorious wild card, producing photographs, letters, and once even a bikini held up for Johnny's opinion, while backstage behavior earned private disapproval when she demeaned staff, particularly young women, crossing a line Carson would not forgive. The breaking point came when Winters threw her drink across the set after a comment about aging actresses, prompting a tense confrontation during the break that visibly chastened her, after which her appearances became less frequent and carefully structured, booked last, paired cautiously, and padded with extra time because a 15-minute Shelley Winters segment existed only in some parallel universe where time behaved differently. Richard Pryor represented a different kind of shamelessness, one rooted in brutal honesty, as he refused to present a sanitized version of himself for network television and instead delivered unfiltered truth with genius-level comedic skill, addressing addiction, childhood trauma, race, and hypocrisy with a candor that had network censors constantly on edge. Despite elaborate pre-appearance guidelines, Pryor would casually step across every line, not out of malice, but because he could not be anything other than himself. And his most shocking appearance came after his 1980 freebasing accident, when he addressed the incident head-on with humor and honesty, openly discussing cocaine use on national television. What distinguished Pryor was Carson's reaction, as Johnny treated him with deep respect rather than alarm, recognizing complete artistic integrity beneath the shocking language, defending him to network executives and insisting that if they wanted Pryor, they had to accept all of him, because Pryor's shamelessness was not exhibitionism, but truth-telling that expanded what was possible on television. Zsa Zsa Gabor, by contrast, transformed shamelessness into a carefully engineered brand, arriving draped in diamonds and theatrical accent, having intuitively understood that scandal itself could become her primary product. Every outrageous remark about her marriages, lovers, and wealth was calculated, designed to generate headlines and maintain celebrity, and Carson became her perfect foil, reacting with exaggerated shock while subtly acknowledging the performance they were both playing. She discussed divorce, flirted openly with Johnny, and treated personal controversy as entertainment at a time when such candor shocked audiences, turning indiscretion into a marketable commodity that kept her relevant long after her acting career waned, all within a tacit agreement that delivered entertaining television without true loss of control. Oliver Reed's appearance, however, descended into genuine crisis when the visibly intoxicated British actor staggered onto the stage in 1979, slurring, swaying, demanding more alcohol, and behaving as though he were in a pub rather than on live American television. His rambling, profane, and sexually explicit behavior pushed censors to their limits and forced Carson into real-time calculations to salvage the segment without humiliation, even breaking the fourth wall in desperation before cutting to commercial early. Moments of brilliance beneath the chaos made it impossible to simply shut him down, but after Reed crossed a line by singling out an audience member, Carson delivered a quiet ultimatum during the break that subdued him for the remainder of the interview, demonstrating Johnny's ability to enforce boundaries without cruelty, though Reed was never invited back. Bette Davis arrived with a different power entirely, settling into the guest chair like Hollywood royalty with nothing left to prove and no interest in politeness, naming names, criticizing studios, and speaking bluntly about aging and mistreatment in an industry that had both celebrated and discarded her. With 2 Oscars and decades of experience, Davis spoke with measured, fearless candor that left network executives scrambling. Yet Carson listened with respect, recognizing that she had earned the right to speak freely, delivering devastating critiques with wit and composure that transformed bitterness into compelling television. Don Rickles brought shamelessness directly to Carson himself, roasting the host mercilessly in a rare inversion of power that only worked because of genuine friendship and mutual respect, as Rickles insulted Johnny's appearance, divorces, and habits while Carson laughed along, understanding that being targeted by Rickles was a badge of honor. Though occasional jokes struck sensitive nerves and one ambush tribute crossed personal boundaries, their relationship survived because of sincere reconciliation, illustrating how carefully Rickles balanced apparent chaos with strategic restraint to create the illusion of unfiltered mayhem within acceptable limits. Robin Williams shattered structure altogether, exploding onto the stage with uncontainable energy that dissolved the Tonight Show's carefully crafted format into improvisational chaos, transforming simple questions into extended comedic universes and physically taking over the set, while Carson surrendered control with visible delight.